Well, the government subsidy will help ease the rising cost of fares. The government is signaling that cost-cutting measures will be needed. Dana Hutchings joins us with that part of the story in tonight's Checkpoint.
Jim, it could be a very different looking ferry system in the years ahead. We could be seeing service cuts and even the elimination of routes. Now, the government says there will be public consultation before any major changes take place. And Kendall Hansen tonight explores where some islanders think the cost savings should come from.
Another ferry load of passengers arrive at BC Ferry's Departure Bay terminal. They were on a sailing that was 57% of its capacity for vehicles and 46% of its capacity for passengers. And this is one of BC Ferry's busiest routes. It makes money. When you consider many of the smaller routes don't enjoy near the same utilization, it's easy to understand why BC Ferries is sailing in the red. Ridership is down, while costs such as fuel are up. And it seems there are as many opinions on how to turn this ship around as there are passengers.
I think I would take a look at what the high income earners are with BC Ferries, see if that's necessary.
Probably getting rid of the restaurants on board and quit paying high-paying staff.
Just cutting out some of the sailings. On when you have a vessel that can carry 31, say, and there's only 3 on there, it doesn't seem to make much sense.
In January, one of the BC Ferry Commissioner's key recommendations was the need to improve capacity utilization. Some routes are operating at less than 30% of their capacity. Nanaimo's mayor says it would make sense to cut many of those runs.
I think it would be reasonable to assume that those ones would have reductions in service first, if that is an area that the Commissioner decides is the way to go.
As for cutting sailings from the Nanaimo routes, John Rattan is against that and also opposes closing one of his city's 2 terminals as a cost-saving measure.
I know it's easy to say, well, let's start closing down terminals, but it's not all that easy. We have to look at how the service is efficient and yet effective. And by effective, I mean it has to be done in a manner that still provides convenience.
Rattan is also against municipalities funding ferries, which is a suggestion in the BC Ferries legislation, one of many divisive issues that undoubtedly will be raising a lot of debate in the future of BC Ferries.
And our Checkpoint question tonight, what do you think BC Ferries should do to stay afloat? Here are some of your ideas.
I think it needs to lower its rates, personally. Yeah, it's about time for that, especially for everyday working people that need to go over there and, you know, are just finding it hard to make a living. And
I would go more often if the food was better and maybe if they had more stuff to do on the ferries.
No, I don't think raising the fares is going to help. I think just attracting more visitors to the area will help in increasing the traffic, although that's a two-edged sword too, because sometimes you can't get on the ferries you need to get on.
Lower their fares so they get more usage.
More services in the ferry, things for people to buy and spend money on, the more varied food, touristy items to buy, things like that in the stores, probably be more profitable.
From Facebook, Kim says, take it back as a Crown corporation. Fire the board and pay the new executive the same as Washington State Ferries, whose CEO gets just over $100,000 a year, or 1/10 of Han's salary. Joanne says, how about an onboard casino and lounge? Always generates big revenue and could turn a necessary trip into a recreational one for many folks who like the idea of cruising over to Vancouver or Victoria. From email, Sherry says, I think BC Ferries gets enough with our tax dollars and our fares. If they gave the local islanders some sort of discount, I bet there would be more people taking the ferry. On a side note, BC Ferries did tweet today that the Coast Saver fares are back, so there will be some savings from the end of May until the end of June. And that's tonight's Checkpoint.